Why Amanda Anisimova's latest defeat is significant for Coco Gauff. Amanda Anisimova's early exit from the Qatar Open is set to have a big impact on Coco Gauff. Anisimova won the Qatar Open last year, which really kickstarted a breakout season for the American. However, Anisimova's title defense has not gone to plan after she retired in her opening match in Doha against former world number 1 Karolina Pliskova. Not only is this disappointing for Anisimova, but it is also significant for her compatriot Gauff, who has a big opportunity at the Qatar Open. Coco Gauff impacted by Amanda Anisimova's exit from the Qatar Open as the defending champion. Anisimova was defending a huge 1,000 points at the Qatar Open last year. Following Anisimova's retirement in the third set against Pliskova, she has now dropped 990 of those ranking points. This means that Anisimova will now drop outside the top 5 in the WTA rankings down to world number SIX. As a result, Anisimova will lose her status as American number 1, which will now be returned to Gauff as Jessica Pegula withdrew from the Qatar Open. Gauff currently has a 470-point lead over Pegula in the live WTA rankings, while she leads Anisimova by 733 points. This gap could be increased at the Qatar Open, as Gauff has no points to defend after losing her only match at the tournament last year. Who is Coco Gauff playing in her first match at the Qatar Open? Gauff will look to continue extending her lead as American number 1 when she plays her first match at this year's Qatar Open against Elisabetta Cocciaretto. Cocciaretto has already won a WTA title this year, but Gauff should not be too concerned following their 3 previous meetings. Gauff has beaten Cocciaretto in straight sets on all 3 previous occasions, with their most recent encounter taking place at the 2024 French Open. However, Cocciaretto may be holding on to Gauff's recent record at the Qatar Open, as she did not win a match at either the 2024 or 2025 tournament. Gauff will play her first singles match at the Qatar Open against Cocciaretto on Tuesday, February 10. Tennis shifts in momentum. Why Amanda Anisimova's Qatar defeat matters for Coco Gauff. Tennis is, at its heart, a story of ongoing rivalries, personal arcs, and subtle shifts in momentum, a world where a single match can trigger changes far beyond the scoreline. When Amanda Anisimova exited her title defense early at the Qatar TotalEnergies Open, it rippled through the women's tour in unexpected ways, particularly for American star Coco Gauff. Below, we unravel why this isn't just another defeat on the calendar, but a moment with significant competitive and psychological implications for Gauff, one that helps define her path forward in 2026. Cyclone 1. An unexpected opening in the draw. Anisimova's loss in Doha was itself surprising. She was the defending champion and seeded third, but was forced to retire while trailing in her opening match due to illness. That kind of exit, especially from a major WTA 1000 event, creates a vacuum of opportunity in the draw that benefits rival players. For Gauff, who has often been one of the top American contenders on tour, historically ranked at or near the upper echelon of the WTA, Anisimova's early departure removes a potential obstacle and lightens the competitive path toward later rounds in big events. Even if Gauff wasn't scheduled to meet her directly in Doha, the absence of a player with whom she shares ranking tension radiates through the points race and tournament strategy. Direct hit 2. Ranking tension between Gauff and Anisimova. This rivalry isn't accidental. In 2025, both players jockeyed as the top American performers on tour. Anisimova rose to world number 4 and even leapfrogged Gauff in the race to the WTA finals after winning the China Open, where she also defeated Gauff en route to the title. That head-to-head dynamic means that whenever Anisimova falters, it has potential implications for ranking points available to Gauff through direct comparison. Perception of pecking order among U.S. stars. Momentum heading into major events later in the season. Anisimova's early loss, and her subsequent drop in ranking points from defending Qatar, opens a door for Gauff to solidify or reclaim ground in the upper tier of the women's rankings. Collision 3. Psychological ripples. Confidence and narrative control in tennis. Confidence is as valuable as a well-hit forehand. Anisimova's victory over Gauff at the 2025 China Open, a dominant semifinal win, was a statement moment, but now, Anisimova's injury setback interrupts that momentum. For Gauff, this shift can relieve pressure of needing to directly counter every challenge from Anisimova in ranking battles. Offers psychological breathing room, allowing her to reset goals independently of a rival whose trajectory had been rising sharply, and allow Gauff to redefine her mid-season narrative, not as a player chasing or measured against Anisimova's recent surge, but as her own benchmark for consistency and performance. Athletes pick up signals from the wider competitive landscape. When a close rival stumbles, it can be a cue to reframe ambition, something as subtle as shifting a training focus or seeding strategy. Trophy 4. Shaping the American tennis narrative. Anisimova and Gauff, along with peers like Jessica Pegula and Madison Keys, have formed a compelling cohort of U.S. women at the top of the sport. Their storylines intertwine, from junior finals to shared ascendancy in the WTA top 10. That Anisimova's setback contributes to a broader narrative. Gauff now stands with reduced immediate pressure from a direct American adversary in this event. It helps frame Gauff's objectives around broader global competition rather than a narrower domestic rivalry, and it intensifies focus on her other key rivals, e.g., Sabalenka, Swiatek, for ranking superiority. American tennis thrives on such comparison. As one player dips, another has the chance to define the next chapter in the country's presence on the global stage. Bar chart 5. Strategic implications for the upcoming season. Looking ahead, this moment could influence tactical decision-making. Gauff's tournament scheduling might adapt to maximize ranking points where she now has clearer potential. Coaches and players may revisit head-to-head strategies without the immediate example of a rising Anisimova. And psychologically, Gauff may enter future events with a renewed sense of urgency to capitalize on the competitive landscape. When players and their teams model a season, even minor shifts like an early exit from a fellow contender can redirect focus to fitness plans, surface preferences, and confidence-building match play. Brain 6. What this means for Gauff's internal benchmarking. Every elite athlete measures progress not just in wins and losses, but in relative momentum. Anisimova had surged in late 2025, demonstrating deep runs at major events and signaling her arrival as a perennial contender. Now, with her unexpected early exit, Gauff can use this as a benchmark reset, shifting targets from worrying about Anisimova's rise to concentrating on her own game development. It gives Gauff a comparative advantage in narrative framing, particularly in press and fan engagement, e.g., discussions around American leadership in women's tennis, and it could affect how Gauff approaches her own training, focusing inward rather than outward. In sport, where margins are small, perception and confidence can convert into extra wins. High voltage 7. The broader competitive landscape. Anisimova's loss also amplifies competition among the entire WTA elite. As players like